Victory! The minimum wage in Atlanta is being raised to $15 an hour for city workers after a city council meeting that happened recently. The minimum wage will rise over time according to the new ordinance, going up to $13 this year, $14 next year, and eventually $15 in 2019. The mayor of Atlanta still has to sign the ordinance, but the signs are looking good that the people of Atlanta can look forward to getting paid more in the years to come. And this is a huge victory for the Fight for 15 campaign and Jobs with Justice in Atlanta. The coalition coordinator from Atlanta Jobs with Justice, Neil Sardana, had this to say about the victory. Quote, "Now with this vote, city workers can see a brighter future that provides for their basic needs, especially as the cost of living in the city has been rapidly increasing." An executive director of Atlanta Jobs with Justice said this, quote, "Let this victory tell all working people that we must continue our fight for progressive values and our community's needs in spite of the recent surge in conservative ideology." And this victory under progressive government in Atlanta is in stark contrast to the government of Georgia statewide, which is under harsh conservative Republican control. They've kept the statewide minimum wage at one of the lowest in the country, $5.15 an hour. Let me put that in perspective with some math. $5.15 an hour is like $200 a week. That's $800 a month, like $10,000 a year. And that's before they take any taxes out, which is going to take another $50 a week out. So you're really making like $7,000 a year. Could you live on that? Could you raise a family on that? There's no one who can live on that. It's not a livable wage. And that means in Georgia, you could work a full-time job, but not be able to pay the bills, not be able to put food on the table, and not be able to provide for your family. And you know what? People should have all of that and a little left over to enjoy life too. So what does a person do when you make so little money that you can't live on it? How do you get by? Here's what that sounds like when it's real, in the voice of a real living human being. Check it out.
I remember being hungry to the point to where not only did I not know where today's meal was coming from, I didn't know where tomorrow's or next week's meal was coming from. Not only mine, but my children. And I've graduated college. I'm a registered nurse. I was having a tough time finding a job due to some circumstances, but my children couldn't eat. And I remember thinking at that point, wow, what can I do to make some money to give my kids some food? And I'm a saved, sanctified, filled woman of God. But I had some thoughts. I had some thoughts about what I can do to feed my kids. And my stomach was hurting, and so I knew whatever I got, I had to give to my children. So that made me violent in my head. It made me violent in my head, and then the bills coming in, I couldn't pay the gas bill, the electric bill, the phone bill. I couldn't, and I had to have a phone because I couldn't. That was the only way for us if we had an emergency or something. And then I had to have a job call me if they wanted to try to hire me.
Yeah, that struggle is real. You work 2 or 3 jobs. Your wife or your partner works 2 or 3 jobs. And since you're never home to watch your kids, now you got to pay for daycare. And that's more money out the door. And you're working every day of the week, all the time, never seeing your family, never doing anything that you want to do. That's slavery capitalism. It's putting working people in the position where they have no control over their lives and no purchasing power in the economy. It's a bad deal in a rigged economy, and it should be illegal. You know, like Chris Rock once said.
Hey, you know, before I started comedy, I used to work at McDonald's making minimum wage. Do you know what it means when somebody pays you minimum wage? You know what your boss was trying to say? It's like, hey, if I could pay you less, I would. But it's against the law. Now, minimum wage used to come up to about $200 a week, and then they would take out $50 in taxes. That's a lot of money if you're only making $200 a week. That's kind of like kicking Monday and Tuesday in the ass, okay?
But that's why we need campaigns like Fight for 15 and progressives in public office like in Atlanta, because conservative Republicans, like at the State House in Georgia, they don't believe that people who work 40 hours a week should be able to pay their bills. They even passed a law at the state level which prevents local municipal governments from raising the minimum wage for private sector workers without approval from the state. Conservatives want to subsidize the wages of companies like Walmart, which has a hotline that helps their employees get on welfare instead of paying them what they're worth and reciprocating their value back to them in their wages. It's predator capitalism at its worst, sucking off the tea to the government while dodging their taxes and underplaying their employees, and in all likelihood, mistreating them in other ways too. But small local businesses who invest in their employees by paying them what they're worth and giving them the benefits they need, they have to compete with these corporate Goliaths who cheat the system in every way possible. It's wrong, it's immoral, and it's bad for the economy. So we need to be fighting for 15 everywhere around the country, like where we've already won a $15 minimum wage, places like New York, Seattle, Los Angeles, Massachusetts, Pittsburgh, Portland, and Washington, D.C. And in places where they raised people's wages, the economy is booming. Because obviously, if people have more money to spend, they're going to kickstart the economy by spending it. So it appears that when it comes to raising the minimum wage, good public policy is good politics. And it's good for the lives of people, too. I'm Ryan Clayton. This is Content News. Come back daily for the news where we're free to share the truth.